Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, we're lively this morning. I love we got a lively group. Who's got a win for us? Been heading into the holiday here. We don't like quietness when we're waiting for wins. Come on. No wins yesterday. A Tuesday after a weekend. No accepted offers. No unique scenarios. Everybody on vacation. We're not doing real estate. Come on, somebody. Share
The
something.
offer that the offer I put in, we were neck and neck, and we lost out for a higher bid. That's my sad
Yeah,
news. Sorry.
that's your set. You were right there. You were in the conversation down to two offers, you think, Sue? You and somebody else?
Down to two offers. And I asked the agent, what could I have done better for for my future offer? She goes, you brought in a really strong offer. It's just that the other buyer just had a stronger amount.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, look, you can't win them all. As long as you know you're in the game, you're getting that last opportunity to match if you want to match or raise or we talked about that the other day. So it sounds like you were right there, and yeah, you can't win them all.
I really wish I had listened to Lauren and put the escalation clause with, but she had told me not, the agent said we're not accepting that, but it wasn't written
Yeah.
in the MLS. So I really should have done that. And I kicked myself.
Yeah. Look, that's why we get on this call, right? We share the lessons learned. Maybe next time you're going to handle it different. Maybe somebody else on this call is going to handle it different. Um, we just we have a big win just jump on. I will share a win for somebody that's on the call. We just got our one of our highest listings ever at $3 million. And we were up against a top agent in a specific town where that agent had listed, I want to say dozens of $1 million plus properties in that town. Had double sided a bunch of them and does really really well. And our agent, it was actually two of our agents that were going in with a unique approach that, hey, we're hungry. No, we don't have that track record with the compared to that other agent that you're meeting with, but here's what we can do for you. We've got some unique marketing that we can do because of our partnership with Zillow, so we can give you this enhanced listing that they're not going to be able to give for you, and we're just going to work our tails off. And that hunger, that fire, that connection. They did a little bit of background research on this individual. Runs a business where I believe they have younger people working for them. So made that kind of connection of, hey, look, sometimes giving the young guy the shot is the way to go. So kudos to Lohith and Tyler, who I don't believe is on, for going and landing that. It looks like it could turn into another listing of $1 million for the Sun. So pretty cool story. So we know we can overcome situations where we're not the person going in with the huge track record and dozens of sales in a specific town at that price point under us. So you can't compete on that. Hey, you know what? She does have that. Here's what I bring to the table, though, instead of trying to kind of defend. So great job there. Lohith, I don't know if you want to add anything to the story or.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah, cool. Cool. It's a lot of hard work, staying on top of it, doing your research, knowing what your strengths are, knowing what you can bring to the table, and not trying to beat the other person down, man. I hate that strategy. Two ways to have the tallest building in town: build it, right, or tear the other person building down, right. And I hate attacking the other person. Just almost exposing, hey, I'm sure she told you that she's the number one agent in this town. I'm sure she told you that she did all these things, and she absolutely does all those things. Here's what we do. Here's how we're unique. right? So almost telling that joke for that other person, is a strategy of kind of laying those cards on the table. So great job there. Jen, you had something. Did you want to share?
No, it's nothing like that. No, I'm kidding. It's just I may finally have like a buy and sell side, possibly. That's all.
Cool. Oh, hey, look, here's the thing with high-end listings, right? We had an agent in his first year land a $12 million listing that he put a year of time into, probably thousands of dollars of marketing, and it didn't sell, right? So just getting high-end listings is not the name of the game. Selling high-end listings is the name of the game, right? So I think sometimes we get caught up in doing luxury, doing high-end, and a lot of times playing in the middle, right? Listing properties that are the average price point for a town that are going to move can be a much better strategy. Right now, look, if the average price in a town is $1 million and you want to operate in that town and that's where things trade at, then great. But getting the $7 million listing in the $1 million town, you might be biting off more than you can chew, and you're going to look back and go, you know what? I should have just done the $1 million, right? This particular agent had done a bunch of, run-of-the-mill stuff, and was closing a bunch of deals and gaining past clients and learning the industry, and got caught up in luxury. And at this point, I don't even know if this agent is still in the business, and he was off to a really, really good start, but caught up and got to do high end instead of actually just, learning the business and doing deals. So it's just a lesson learned, and I don't know where he's at today, and hopefully he learned the lesson and went back to doing deals and enjoying this business. Right. So it can be a lot of fun. It's actually what I want to talk about today. So, but Lily, I see your hand up.
No, sorry, it was a mistake. Anyway,
Okay,
good morning,
don't ever do
everybody.
that again. If it happens again, Lily, you cannot come back on the call.
Sorry.
So listen, today, what I wanted to talk to you about was productivity versus enjoyability. So this is something that I've been working on hard lately for myself, because I am a productivity guy. If I am wasting time, I feel inefficient. I feel inferior. That what, I should have wasted time on that. I could have been more productive with those hours, and I can feel like a failure when I get in that mode. And I have been productive and efficient my entire life. And so this is a different way to look at things for me, and I wanted to share it with you guys, because maybe you're going to have a little bit of downtime over the holidays and some time to reflect on some stuff. So I think productivity is always about just squeezing out one more thing, or can I do it in a little bit less time? And I guess kind of what I'm considering is, instead of always trying to be more efficient, can we find some things that we don't care how long it takes, because we just absolutely enjoy it? And if we do it all day long and that's how long it takes, no big deal. Right? So are there some areas where you're just always trying to be productive? Right? I think we gotta leave productivity, I guess, to the things that you don't want to be doing. That's where we want to be more productive. But where we're finding joy, let's just enjoy the process. And this is coming from somebody that really struggles with this. So, I'm looking hard at what are the things that really bring me joy, and can I slow it down, and can I spend more time on that, knowing, what, normally today I would have got 6 things done. Today I'm just going to get this one thing done, but man, I really enjoyed it. Right? This morning call is one of those things. Right? Previously, I was being productive. I was getting a workout in, right, and trying to contribute to this call. And I said, you know what? I really love this. If we could do this for an hour every day, man, I would feel like my day could be done, and I've added value to the real estate community. If every day we hopped on this call and we did it for twice as long, and we talked about this scenario and that scenario, and we helped somebody fix something, we helped somebody in their personal life, man, I love it. You know, talking about how to send out, you know, a new action plan and follow-up blast. I loved building that stuff. There was a time where I loved doing that stuff. But for me right now, this is what brings me joy. And I feel like I could do it forever. So if you're struggling with this, there's a coaching program which I've never entered into, but it'll probably be the next one that I do when I maybe release one of the coaching programs I'm in now. So I'm in a few, and I think this is what's going to fill its place. It's called Strategic Coach. The gentleman who runs it is called Dan Sullivan. And Dan Sullivan has a bunch of tools that he puts out there for entrepreneurs. And one of the tools is called the Unique Ability Finder. So Dan believes that you are born with your unique ability, and that it somehow gets, for a lot of people, maybe even most people, gets muted over time. And we're taught we got to be well-rounded in school. We got to be, you know, pretty good at everything. And we end up being pretty good at a lot of things as entrepreneurs, but that we hit some burnout by trying to think that we got to do it all. So I wanted to kind of run through, and you guys can go search it up on his website. But if you're thinking about this and you're trying to figure out what is that unique ability that I have and how do I spend more time there, we'll talk about some ways to do it in real estate. Here's some of the questions that you can ask yourself. So he believes there's 4 qualities to your unique ability. One is superior skill. You produce outstanding results effortlessly in this area. Number 2 is passion. You love doing it and would do it even without pay. Number 3 is energy. It energizes you and those around you. We've talked a lot about energy. And I want to spend a little bit more time here. When I was first meeting or getting to know my wife, right? She is very introverted, and I am the complete opposite. I love being around people. There are times where I want to be a hermit, but I absolutely love being around people. It brings me energy. You know, and I always wanted to go out and go to the party and be around people and do the networking. And I could never understand, like, what do you mean you don't want to go? And, you know, but what I've learned is, for an introvert, like, literally those scenarios suck energy out of you. Right. And there's a million different aspects of your life where energy is coming in and going out. But like, just not understanding that being around people could, like, how does that possibly give you less energy? Like, that was awesome. We just got to do all that stuff. And she would come out drained and like literally have to shut down. So there's other things that this is happening where in your life where energy is coming in or going out. So try and identify, jot it down. This is where journaling can be great. Hey, you know what? That's awesome. I need to do more of that. So when you're in that pumped up, jot it down. I got to do more of that. That's bringing me energy. And the 4th quality is a never-ending improvement, that you continually feel like, I can get a little bit better at this, or I'm happy to read about this, or, you know, I'm always learning in this area. Other ways to help you find that unique ability is look beyond your work. So consider how you create value in all areas of your life, including your home, school, relationships. Identify recurring patterns. So pay attention to activities and habits that seem to come naturally to you across different situations. Number 4, reflect on your childhood. Think about talents and behaviors you exhibited since you were young that brought you joy there and that maybe you've gone away from. Number 5, recognize what you take for granted. So he writes that sometimes your unique ability might seem ordinary to you because it comes so naturally. So sometimes we can get blinded by it. We don't even realize it's our unique ability because it's so effortless. Number 6, consider what others rely on you for. In all areas of your life, is there something that a lot of people tend to rely on you for? When I think about that question, to me, I always seem to be the connector. I was the, hey, call Steve. I'm sure he's got a guy for that. Right? And I took pride in when somebody called me, oh, yep, I got a guy for that. Yep, here, use this guy. He's the best. I loved making those connections. You can go on his site and there's some tools for discovery. He's got like a book. He's got some questionnaires that you can do. Number 8, seek external feedback. Ask parents, siblings, teachers, colleagues. What do I seem to be really, really good at? So those are some of the suggestions for that. So, and when it comes to the real estate piece, right? So, okay, you know what your unique ability is. Now, how do you utilize that in real estate? So I was having a conversation with somebody on our leadership team, I think it was yesterday, the day before, and just kind of thinking back to when I started, I was struggling with an agent that doesn't want to, do the activities every day. And it boggles my mind how somebody could not want to do the activities and want to be an agent. Right. When I first started, it was back when the phone would ring at the office. We'd run a newspaper ad. I'm just an agent. I'm not in ownership. We'd run a newspaper ad and the phone would ring. And so you'd be floor time and you'd sit there there'd be a shift from 10 to 12 and then 12 to 2. Man, I couldn't wait for that phone to ring. I couldn't wait to go do open houses on the weekends. I couldn't wait for the client interaction, to understand, what does this person do for work? What's their family situation like? What's their background like, right? Where'd they come from? What do they love to do? I would just love to do the client interactions. And it almost seems like we've got agents that have no interest in doing that. And that's where I'm just saying, maybe this isn't the job for you, right? If you love doing, I don't know, the paperwork, this is, maybe a TC job somewhere could be the way that you're involved in real estate. Or if you love doing the social media, just the marketing piece, then maybe going into a field where you're doing marketing all day long. If you hate the other parts of the business, that's okay, right? Find a way where you're doing marketing all day long. Don't be in a job where you do some marketing to get the client, but then you have the client interactions and, hey, I'm really an introvert and being around all these people, I don't love this, right? So could you just, maybe you can stay in the real estate industry, but just focus on that one aspect of it. But the part of this business that is it's really the core of the business is the client interactions, is the phone calls, is the conversations, is the open houses. That's the juice of this business. If that doesn't bring you joy, I think you got to look in the mirror and go, hey, maybe there's some way else that I can be involved in the real estate world, but not as an agent. Lauren.
Just want to add to that thought because I know that, we've heard and said this a couple times, and it's okay if you don't love those things, right? It's okay if you don't love those, but finding what part of this you do love is going to bring you more joy. Honestly, probably this company more joy, right? Knowing it's okay to realize that this is not what I thought it was going to be. And I don't love this part. And I don't want to do this. And what can I do to still stay involved? Don't feel like you have disappointed or failed because you tried and it's not what you expected and it's not what you want to do. In the end, really nobody's happy with it.
Yeah, I love that piece, Lauren, right? It's not failure. It's just discovering your unique ability. Hey, cool. It's why, you should try a bunch of jobs in your life, right? You should try and be a bartender. You should try and be a server. You should try and work a physical labor. You should try and, do a desk job. Try all these different things to figure out, what? Here's what's bringing me the joy. Hiram.
So just to piggyback off of that, right? If we are saying that we love what we do, then we should have no problem talking to other people about it, right? So that's where the conversation piece goes, right? Building relationships along the way. And it's so important to how we build our business, how we build those relationships. So great topic. I love it.
Yeah. It's just the other day as I'm having this conversation, I don't want to be begging people to make phone calls. to send text messages, to try and all of those things. You know, and look, I will say maybe there are different prospecting avenues to get to the client interaction, right? Maybe somebody loves warm calls, somebody loves cold calls, somebody loves text, somebody loves social DM, somebody loves open houses. But you got to love one of those things or a couple of them. Maybe you love door knocking, maybe you love doing the mailers and waiting for all the incoming. There's got to be something there that you love. If you don't love any of those things, this is not the business for you. And that's okay. Cool. You figure that out, hopefully earlier in life than later in life, right? But all of those things are going to lead to that client interaction. And if you don't love meeting another human and learning about them and where they come from and what their situation is, and then peeling back that onion and going, man, here's how I'm going to help this person. That's okay. Let's figure out, you know, we've put a couple people into TC roles in the past. We've put a couple people into these ISA roles in the past. Like all of those, like if you took some of our agents and said, here, sit at a desk and make phone calls all day for 8 hours, there's no way. But for others, they would rather do that than having to be driving around and doing all the, right? So it's, you know, we're trying to, in leadership, identify these things, you know, and I'm trying to empower our leaders to go, we shouldn't be forcing people to do stuff, right, that they don't love to do. Who else has got some thoughts? What's going through your heads as we're having this conversation? Anybody on the call like realizing, you know what, maybe I don't love the role of being a real estate agent? Or I've got to narrow down? James.
Well, this is really a great topic. I think it's the crux of the whole thing, figuring out whether you can survive in this for the long term. I actually came into real estate later in life, and I came in knowing from the sales experience that I had that I would not enjoy real estate. So that was an interesting point to start from. Why? Because it's transactional. When you're a little bit older, you don't want to deal with all that nonsense. Now, and
James, we're losing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the move. Hold on a second.
I think you're back. So we lost you. You came into real estate thinking you weren't going to enjoy it.
No, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it the way that people were being taught, because it was transactional. It was contrary to everything that had made me successful in sales in my corporate life. So I got into it because of the flexibilities that I could spend time abroad and here and build that life. And there's very few other industries that you can be in that can offer you that. It's an incredible gift if you can figure out how to balance it. So I had no interest in the money, honestly. But just had a sales career. Transact business was about being.
Hey James, I had to mute you because you're going in and out, man. When you're back stable, let us know. I'll put you back on the mic. Anybody else have some thoughts, or we can just transition? I unfortunately have taken up a little bit too much of the call here. And does somebody have a pressing real estate situation that they need help with? Something going on a deal, or maybe a lesson learned? Heath and Tyler, anything you guys learned that maybe I didn't share? Something, a little tip that you learned from going on and getting that listing. Hey, you know what? Didn't realize this, but did this, and man, it really helped. You guys have something?
I learned that there were regular people. because initially I was going in and I was freaking out. Like my hands were shaking and everything. But at the end of the day, the dude was just a regular guy. You know, he wasn't really anything like special in person, right? He was just your average guy that I could talk to, right? So that helped because now I know going into those appointments, they're all just people.
Good. That's a great share, man. That is a great share. Yeah, I think sometimes we can get intimidated when we're dealing with a higher end clientele. You know, money's one piece of success, right? So we're all human at the end of the day, and great insight there, Lohi. Thank you for sharing that. Who else has learned something recently on a deal? Let's see what I got on my list here. All right, we'll finish up with some owner financing. This question came in regarding buyers who only want to purchase if they can do owner financing. So it's a good little topic. I think when you read some financing books or take some courses, you can go down this rabbit hole of, you know, you can buy all this real estate and you don't even have to put any money in and you don't have to have any money and you can find people that want to do owner financing. The reality is, in the thousands of transactions that I've been a part of, I don't know if I've seen this but a couple of times. You know, the situation that has to arise for an owner to want to do owner financing is pretty rare, right? And so, but at its core, just so everybody understands what owner financing is you've got somebody that, let's say, they own their house free and clear, right? And if they sell that property, let's say it was a investment property, maybe they're going to have to pay some taxes on it. So instead of paying those taxes on it, right, they can do a loan. So they don't, let's say it's a $500,000 property. Instead of you just, you know, your buyer giving them $500,000 by going out and getting a mortgage, now they take $500,000 in an income, and there's going to be a taxable event there. They are going to instead take money over time from you at an interest rate that they probably can't get. So let's say typically owner financing is going to be a little bit higher than the market because the buyer wasn't able to go to the market, right? So if the market's at 7%, the owner might say, hey, look, I'll loan you the money, right? We'll do it at 9%. Okay. And I'm going to take my payments over time. So they avoid the taxable event, right? They don't just take in 500,000, have to pay taxes on it. They're going to take that money over time. Okay. But also if they took that $500,000 and they went and put it in the bank, we did our personal finance week, they'd be lucky if they could get 5% at the bank, right? Now they're going to get 9% with an asset back, right? So worst case, the guy doesn't pay, the person doesn't pay on their loan, they foreclose and take the house back. So that would be the scenario where it might make sense for an owner to do some owner financing. They don't have to finance the whole loan. They could just do a piece of the loan, but that's the general gist of owner financing. So get a couple of hands up. Margaretta, you were first.
Good morning, all. Thank you. Quick question on that capital gains. What is the rules for taxes? Like, I thought that for capital gains, if it's as long as somebody lives in 2 years in a property as an owner occupied, you can, as a single individual, have capital gains up to 250 without taxation. Is that correct? How does that work, really?
Yeah,
I've never really understood.
Yep, 250 for an individual, 500 for a married couple. Right, for your primary residence. Right, so if I purchase a property, I live in it for 5 years, it appreciates from 250 to 500,000, and then I sell it, and I'm about to make a gain there of 250,000. I'm not going to pay taxes on that. If I have an investment property that I buy for 250, it appreciates to 500,000. I'm going to pay taxes on that. Right. So, or if it's going to be over that, right? If somehow my property is appreciated by $1 million, I still got to pay taxes on the difference. It's only up to, for a married couple, the first 500,000. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. And that's what I thought, but
Yeah.
like, as many people explain differently, and I'm like, what is the real story?
Yeah, and it's you got to live in it for, I think it's 2 out of the last 5 years. So there are people who that just move around. They keep flipping the property that is their primary residence, and they're not paying those taxes. Right, so that is their income. They live in that house for a couple of years. They make a couple $100,000. They don't pay taxes on that 200,000 versus if they went and earned $200,000 at a job. So Wendy, I think you were next.
Yes, hi, good morning. So I've got a gentleman that I'm working with that if I find him a house that he likes better than his, he'll move. The issues are, I see he came in roughly at the amount that we'd probably get for the house. My first question was going to be about, what is this, oh my God, the exchange, what is it? I just did one like 1 year ago. 1031.
Yep,
I was thinking
1031.
1037. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, a year and a half in, he wants to, consider selling, and then, I've shown him a few, and we have one narrowed down kind of, but then, the issue would be putting his on the market, etc., and then accelerating that. What I would want to add to that is the seller is offering seller financing. So you were just talking about that. Would it, if he really was in love and I was in a jam where I'm not sure exactly how quickly his home will sell, but whenever you try to put a house on the market after you find one that you like, it just never works out for me anyway. So I was thinking, worst case, we take seller financing, get him in that house, move him out, and then sell his other one. And then, but then the 1031 came up in the topics, and that also raised question to me. But I don't think there's going to be any, difference in price from where he's selling to where he's buying. He might buy up a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, I believe it. And you want to check with an accountant. I believe it just needs to be the same or greater. So if he sells for 500, you can 1031 into another property for 500
Right.
and not pay any taxes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That
So it
might
doesn't
be
have to be for more.
And then on the seller financing side, I mean, I don't know. And then he mentioned that he has a line on the house that he's in. So doesn't he have to, I don't know if he could use that to get into the other house, move out, if he would be, amenable to that. He'd have to really love the other house.
Yeah. If you have a line of credit on your current property, you could use it as the down payment for the next one, but he probably doesn't have a line that would be big enough to go and buy the other one if he's buying in the same price range, right? If I have a $500,000 property, I might be able to get up to maybe 80%. So I could maybe get 400,000 of equity line.
Okay.
So I could go probably buy a $400,000 house with that. And the amount of equity lines that banks are willing to do seems to fluctuate depending on how the market's going. So I don't know where, how high banks are willing to go right now on equity lines, but yeah, I think on average, I think up to 80% would be pretty standard. But you definitely want to double check to see where that's at now, or if maybe somebody's looked into this recently. So
thank you. Just one more thing on that. He does own his current home free and clear. So he's trying to kind of make a lateral, but what I showed him was just a little larger, and it had 3-car garage, which he is, absolutely in love with. But anyway, so I'm working on him.
Yeah.
That was a couple questions. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, you bet. Jeff and Linda.
Yeah. Hey, in regards to the 1031, double check this, but we've got a guy with the 1031 we can put you in touch with. 1031, I believe, is going to be only for an investment property, not a homestead primary residence. So that's going to something that's probably going to come into play on it.
Yeah.
Double check that.
I did a
point.
homestead though. Yeah, but I did one already, and honest to God, Jeff, the buyer, or she sold and then she bought into another property, and we did a 1031. I mean, by the skin of her teeth, we got it done. But I also have a 1031 company out of California, and they're excellent. I mean, excellent, and they are super reasonable on their fees. yeah. Anyway, thank you. Jen.
Terrific. Yeah. Yeah. Always check with them. That's what we do. We
Yep.
just defer to them.
Yep. That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking there that this is primary residence and we're not going to be able to do a 1031. So
Yeah, the last
Yeah.
buyer I had, she did it, and I mean, honest to God, the company
On a
doesn't ever want to work with her again because she was a nightmare, but she got it done. We
On a-
got it done. I got it done. Yeah.
on a primary residence?
Yes, from one primary to another.
I've got one going on a 1031 because my my sellers are Canadian, and they're literally just selling. They've lived in the property for 13 years, but it's a second home, and they're moving to a new home, and they're just doing the 1031 exchange. And the guy I'm working with, it was the same situation. He said it can be done that way.
She does have, or did have,
Right, so
another property as well, but she was living in her primary. The other one was a rental, and then she was purchasing a new one as the 1031. Excuse me. Thank you.
Huh. Yeah, I've never heard that you could do it on a primary residence. So I don't know. There must be some loophole or something that's coming into play here. So
Yeah, I've read loopholes where like these 1031 companies essentially roll your primary into an investment property, however, on paper. So then they're allowed to do it and then transfer when you purchase into a primary after time. Like they know all these funny things like accountants do with taxes. These 1031 companies have all these funny side rules to help things.
Yeah,
Okay.
she had it, excuse me, as ownership LLC. So maybe that's where that came in. So it wasn't under her personal name, no. So
Okay, maybe Margareta.
So would that have been transferred into like a what they call that? Not an escrow, but it's like a estate? Because sometimes people do estates and then they do LLCs
Right.
into estate
Yeah, I
and they
don't.
get paid out of estates. I don't understand it.
yeah, she only has a she doesn't even have a will or anything. She just she just did it under her LLC. She loves to hide stuff in her businesses.
Yeah,
But
look,
see,
obviously,
they're like an estate thing, right? You can do, and then you have LLCs into estate and you get paid out of it.
I'm not familiar with the estate stuff and how it all works, so I don't want to speak to that. It could be one way to accomplish this.
She would love that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, all right, guys, just a reminder, we are off tomorrow, but we will get back after it on Friday. Hopefully, we had some enlightening talk today. Maybe spend some time on your unique ability. It's a never-ending journey to kind of figure out, because I think it can change a little bit over time on what absolutely is bringing you joy, and then how do we figure out how to maximize the amount of the joy-filling activities that we're doing every single day, so that you can really, really enjoy this career or maybe some other aspect of the real estate industry. So go enjoy the holiday, and we will talk to you guys again on Friday. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a great part.